Good evening, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. The search continues in Kenora, Ontario for the remains of a missing 21-year-old man. On November 3rd, Ontario Provincial Police in Kenora confirmed Mackay Pelly Scott of Grassy Narrows First Nation is deceased. One person has been arrested and charged in connection with the investigation. Pelly Scott was reported missing on Sunday, October 26th. He was last seen between October 10th and 12th in Kenora. Following an investigation, Pelly Scott was confirmed to be deceased. 24-year-old Terrence Cherry of Kenora was arrested and charged with indignity to a dead body. The OPP said today there is no updates as of right now. However, they wanted to assure everyone that the OPP remains committed to locating the victim and all available resources continued to be utilized. The Treaty 3 Police Service, the Kenora Makwa Patrol, and community members are also assisting with the search. The Ontario Provincial Police have renewed their offer of a $100,000 reward for tips leading to the arrest and conviction of whoever is responsible for the death of 21-year-old Lonnie Chum. Chum died on November 7th of 2023 after she was involved in a hit and run in the Moose Cree First Nation in Ontario. Still to this day, no arrests have been made. Here's an update. It has now been more than 2 years since Lonnie Chum's death. On the 2-year anniversary, Lonnie Chum's family and supporters held a remembrance walk for her in the community, with people calling for justice for Lonnie. Chum was found with critical injuries on Jaban Street in Moose Factory, a part of the Moose Cree First Nation. The OPP believes Chum was struck by a pickup truck at around 3 a.m. on November 7th of 2023. She was taken to hospital, but she later died of her injuries. 1 week later, the OPP released these images of 2 pickup trucks seen in the area in the morning Chum was killed. A red pickup truck at 2:40 a.m. and a dark-colored pickup truck at 2:50 a.m. The OPP believes one of the vehicles was involved in Chum's death. The $100,000 reward for tips that can lead to an arrest is still being offered. Both the Government of Ontario and the Moose Cree First Nation leadership offered money for the reward. The OPP says that someone knows what happened to Lonnie Chum, and they're asking for them to come forward. APTN News previously interviewed Lonnie's father last year. At the time, he said the community knows who did it and is disappointed that the case hasn't been solved yet. The chief of a Dakota Nation in southwestern Manitoba has been arrested and charged with a historical sexual assault. Manitoba RCMP announced the charges on Monday, just days before the election in Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation. RCMP say on May 5th, 2025, Verdun RCMP received a report of a sexual assault that occurred in 1984 in a community in western Manitoba. The female victim advised police that the assault took place when she was a teen under the age of 16. The male suspect at the time was 24 years of age. RCMP say after an extensive investigation, 65-year-old Vincent Takan was arrested last Wednesday on November 5th and charged with sexual assault. RCMP are not releasing the name of the victim or where the assault took place to protect her identity. Takan has served numerous terms as chief of Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation, roughly 250 kilometers west of Winnipeg. Takan denies the allegations. He is seeking re-election in Thursday's election. A constable with the Winnipeg Police Service has pled guilty to numerous charges, including committing an indignity to a human remains. He was first charged along with 2 other officers in November of last year and again this past August following a 16-month investigation that began in April of last year. A member of the Winnipeg Police Service for more than 2 decades, Elston Bostock, pled guilty last Friday in a Manitoba court to offenses involving corruption and sharing confidential police information. He also admitted to taking a photo of a recently deceased, partially nude woman after she died from a fentanyl overdose. He sent the photo and remarks about her body to other officers. Bostock still faces drug charges in federal court. In a public statement, Winnipeg Police Chief Gene Bowers said Bostock's guilty plea was was a dark day for the force and that there is, quote, no place for individuals like this within our organization. Bostock remains suspended from the force without pay. He is scheduled to be sentenced in January. On Monday, Samuel Bird was laid to rest. He is the 14-year-old youth whose body was found west of Edmonton in rural Alberta last month, after he had been missing for 4 months. Before his funeral, dozens of supporters of Samuel Bird and his family were at the Court of King's Bench in Edmonton for a bail hearing for Brian Farrell. He has been charged with second-degree murder, interfering with a body in relation to a homicide, and other charges. And for the second time, his bail hearing has been rescheduled, this time to December 17th. Supporters said they felt frustrated with the delays. They also held a moment of silence for Samuel.
The emotions are intense and deep, but we are strong, and that's what we got to do. We got to be strong. We got to be strong for Samuel, and we're here for the family to support Samuel Bird and everybody. This is the reason why we're here.
There was a special candlelight ceremony in Yellowknife over the weekend to honor veterans who bravely served in both world wars, Korea, in peacekeeping missions, and other conflicts around the world. APTN Charlotte Mort Jacobs is back and brings us this report.
It's a somber night in Samba Cay, Northwest Territories. A crowd gathers for a ceremony honoring Dene, Métis, and Inuvialuit who served.
So many veterans' graves surround us.
On October 30th, the head of Canada's military formally apologized to the Canadian Armed Forces for the service's history of racist discrimination.
It was a tough time. I served from 83 to 93. There was a lot of racism, and it's one of the reasons why I departed. The recent apology I attended, and it was meaningful to hear the Chief of Defense Staff apologize, and she was very moved by it. I was moved by it, and it's just I saw that as a gesture of reconciliation.
Olone says it's been an emotional week.
I've lost friends. And, I think of heroes like Tommy Prince. I served in his unit, but as we're leading up to the 11th, I think about some of the friends that I've lost, and, I'll think about them. I just want to say that, sometimes veterans can struggle leading up to Remembrance Day.
The universal symbol of remembrance has also recently been expanded to acknowledge diverse cultural identities within the forces.
This year, the Canadian Armed Forces did update the policy on wearing poppies with the military uniform, allowing members the choice to wear an Indigenous designed poppy. So for me, I wanted to recognize some of the local Indigenous cultures with a sealskin poppies.
Over 80 veterans have been laid to rest here in the Field of Honor, Lakeview Cemetery, Yellowknife. But for veteran Floyd Powder, he's still working to locate and mark the grave sites of veterans.
I would like to speak about Augustin Nialty Bolio, a Métis veteran from Fort Resolution who served with the Canadian Scottish Regiment during the Second World War.
Bolio received a headstone 2 years ago. Now his grandkids are honoring his legacy at today's ceremony.
To them we pledge, amid the winds of time.
Northern youth play an important role in remembrance, with cadets helping with seasonal cleanup and maintenance in the Field of Honor.
We currently have candles on all the headstones. It's a very significant thing to honor Indigenous veterans and veterans in general.
Charlotte Mort Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
A new addiction services center recently opened in Thunder Bay. Our Mike McDonald is up next with that story. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The City of Thunder Bay's new safe, sobering, and withdrawal management site is now officially open, with a renewed focus on addiction services for Indigenous clients. The site is operated by St. Joseph's Care Group, and it's designed for people seeking culturally appropriate, trauma-informed care. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
Mino Ginawenjigewin, or the act of caring for people in the Anishinaabe language, is the name gifted to the safe sobering and withdrawal management site operated by St. Joseph's Care Group in Thunder Bay. The name reflects the group's commitment to reconciliation.
We do see high rates of disparities and, health challenges and lack of access and barriers to supports, caused by historical impacts of intergenerational trauma and colonial policies.
We have made a very deliberate effort to have Indigenous leadership, and through Igichida Anakungwewin, our Elders Council, it is so important to us that they have a role in helping us to name and bless every site where we are going to serve our Indigenous clients.
The safe sobering beds provide a supportive, accessible, and supervised place where people who are intoxicated can safely recover from the effects of alcohol or other substances. Larrabee says a number of cultural supports will be available to clients.
We have a culture practitioner as well as an Indigenous health associate. So their roles are the culture practitioner is bringing that on-site medicine, care and support, we're healing circles, even bringing in the big drum, and then the connection to elders as well. So if someone is there and they're needing support from an elder, that culture practitioner can help connect them to them.
The Ontario government invested $2.9 million in the project, and Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland says it's one of 3 addiction programs recently rolled out in the region. He says it's a result of several roundtable discussions on the issue.
The hope is to reconvene the roundtables and have further discussions about how things are working, what are other initiatives that we may have to undertake, so that I can take that message down and help facilitate supports for the continuum of care that the 3 services are intended to be providing.
Thunder Bay's mayor welcomes this new program, especially as the city serves as a healthcare hub for the region.
The role of the regional hospital and the regional center of Thunder Bay is to provide servicing for all the communities, whether they're towns, villages, or First Nations, so that people have a safe place to come to recover. So projects like this make that much more facilitative for everyone else who is working diligently to solve this.
In order to ensure clients can travel safely to and from care, a new transportation and outreach team has been established, which officials hope will reduce barriers to access care, especially for those who are vulnerable. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
Thank you, Mike. New reporting by the Investigative Journalism Foundation and investigative journalist Patty Sontag has uncovered even more concerning details about Ottawa's Indigenous procurement program. Billions of dollars in federal contracts meant to support Indigenous businesses across the country are actually flowing to 24 firms in the Ottawa region. A joint IJF, First Nations University of Canada, and APTN News investigation has found. Sontag's previous reporting on the Indigenous Procurement Initiative led to a Liberal cabinet minister's resignation and exit from politics. For more on this, Patty joins us now from Montreal. Patty Sontag, thanks for joining us. You've been on this file for a while now. Can you tell us about your latest reporting and what you found with Ottawa's Indigenous procurement process?
So we're talking about the procurement strategy for Indigenous businesses. And this allocates 5% of all goods and services that the federal government buys. It has to buy from Indigenous owned and controlled businesses. And so what we found is that more than 60% of those funds are staying in the Ottawa area, going to like about 24 companies. And so out of those, when I say those funds, I mean 60% of $1 billion every year. So that's quite a bit. And the rest of the country, so Saskatchewan, Manitoba, either any way you go, are just getting a few percentage points of that total, so just a tiny bit. So it shows that there's a real difference between where the contracts are going. They're mostly staying in Ottawa.
First Nations, Métis, and Inuit leaders have been questioning whether the program is actually benefiting Indigenous businesses for decades. Patty, are you able to say what is being done to ensure it is in the fact Indigenous businesses getting these contracts?
Well, that process is up in the air right now of verifying which companies are Indigenous. So right now, it's Indigenous Services Canada that does that verification. But Minister Gull Masti and her team are looking into handing that over to Indigenous control. We don't really know more than that.
As pointed out in your reporting, there is going to be a major surge in spending by the federal government on major projects. Do you expect this pattern of Ottawa area businesses benefiting to continue?
Well, I can't predict either way, but Veldon Coburn, who is a professor here at, or associate professor at McGill University, did say that he was concerned that that's exactly what's going to happen, yeah.
And as mentioned, Patty, you've been working on these Indigenous procurement stories for a while now. Is there more of these stories to come?
Yeah, there is. I think this is going to be one of the files I and other journalists will be looking at for quite a while. You know, it came up with GC Strategies and the ArriveCan scandal, but there's a lot more to unpack and think about when we think about federal contracting, especially since we are going to see this major surge in contracting.
And for our viewers, you can read more about this story by going to our website at aptnnews.ca. Patty, thanks for speaking with us, and thank you for all of your reporting on this.
Thanks so much for having me.
Photo of the day and weather is up next. Plus, we'll tell you about a new book about the 60 scoop. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Today's photo of the day comes from Jennifer of the Anishinaabe Whispering Giant in Winnipeg Beach, Manitoba. Super neat photo, Jennifer. Thanks for sharing. If you want to be featured as our next photo of the day, it's super easy. All you got to do is send an email to share@aptn.ca with your name and a brief description of your picture. Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. In Fredericton, 12, Charlottetown, showers and 16. Cartwright, 4, Nain, 3 in showers. Saguenay, -1, Quebec City, 0. Sarnia, 4, Toronto, 3. Timmins, -1, Sioux Lookout, 0. Puckatawagan, +1, Thompson, +1. Sunny and Gimli at 4, Dauphin, 3 and sunny. Swift Current, partly cloudy and 4, Regina, 5. Meadow Lake, 5, Larange, sun's out there and 3. +7 in Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, 2. 12 in Lethbridge, Calgary, 8. 8 in Kamloops, Campbell River, 7. Fort Nelson, cloudy and 2, Smithers, 5. -2 in Whitehorse, Mayo, -9. -5 in Watee, Fort Simpson, -6. -14 in Saxe Harbor, Tuktoyaktuk, -6. -1 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield, 0. And Iqaluit, 0. Igloolik, -5. A children's book was recently released telling the story of Nakuset and her experience surviving the 60 scoop. Nakuset is a well-known Montreal Indigenous rights activist. Her book is a story about loss and how love reconnected her to her sister that she was separated from as a child. APTN Savannah Craig starts us off with a short reading from I Am My Name.
I am a little Cree girl. I know this somewhere deep inside. Every time I look at the sky, every time I look at myself.
As a child, Nakuset was told to deny who she was.
I tell my father and mother, I am a little Cree girl. No, you are not. Yes, I am.
Now she's revisiting these memories, and I Am My Name. Memories that are painful for Nakuset.
We were plucked like tiny trees from our roots. We were carried away by a dark bird that covered the sun. Far, far away from where we came. It pretty much devastated my family, the whole 60 scoop.
Thank you so much for being here on this day. My name is Naguset.
Naguset is the executive director of the Native Women's Shelter. She says her experience made her want to help others.
Looking at other people who were also part of the 60 Scoop and how they struggled, and just knowing that I needed to, I didn't need to, but I felt like I should try to create services.
Naguset is Cree, with roots in Lac La Ronge, Saskatchewan. She was adopted by a Jewish family in Montreal.
This is your new name. That name is not me. I do not want a new name. I need to find my sister so she can tell them I have a name.
Her book gives children a perspective on the 60s Scoop. Naguset's story is brought to life by illustrator Shinawa Gao, also known as One Dove.
I had to give her all kinds of pictures of me when I was little.
Gao's mother was also a 60s Scoop survivor.
So reading her story, it's like I understood her pain so much. I got her loneliness. I knew that desire, that drive to be with her sister again. I really wanted to put emphasis on that feeling of what it's like to be in a completely foreign place, hearing completely foreign language around people that all of a sudden, are trying to pretend to be your family.
For Naguset, it's difficult revisiting the images of those she has lost, especially her older sister, Sonia.
I find it's really, it's hard, for me, it's hard to read.
Including her bubby, Yiddish for grandmother, a person who is a beacon in Naguset's life.
Where will I go? Somewhere I have a big sister. My bubby says, I will help you find her.
Sonia never stopped looking for Naguset.
My sister made it her mission to find me. But that in the end, it actually broke her. I feel like the whole 60 Scoop just killed her, literally.
Naguset reunited with her sister 30 years ago. However, Sonia took her life in 2018. For Naguset, the book celebrates the legacy of her late sister.
And I'm the last one standing, so I have to keep continuing. And the book's dedicated to her and my puppy. So I hope for others who read it, it brings healing.
The book can be purchased at Indigo or on Amazon. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
Thank you, Naguset, for your story. And that's all the time we have for this Monday, November 10th. Our TR Wheatley is back tomorrow for a special Remembrance Day and Indigenous Veterans Day show. Please join us then. We leave you now with some sights and sounds of the first annual Indigenous Veterans Day powwow held at the Sergeant Tommy Prince Place in Winnipeg. From all of us at APTN National News, Masichol Kwana Kinanasko Mitten, thank you for watching. We'll see you again.